CTV News with Carlyle Fiset.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us for part 2 of our special edition CTV News Year in Review. For the next hour, we'll be recapping the stories that stood out to our reporters this year. And we begin with a 30th anniversary walk for Jesse's Journey. In June, John Davidson marked the milestone with a 30-kilometer walk from St. Thomas to London. Jerry Dewan has more on the end of that chapter and what's next.
They gathered at the Jumbo Monument in St. Thomas to commemorate the start of the Jesse's Journey walk. It was 30 years ago that John Davidson and his 15-year-old son Jesse started their inspirational 124-day trek from the Manitoba border across Ontario to Ottawa.
There's a father and his son, moving people to tears, going down the highway, never stopping.
Jesse was 6 when he was diagnosed with Duchenne muscular dystrophy, a fatal genetic disorder affecting 1 in 5,000 boys. His parents committed to help finding treatments and eventually a cure. On this day, Davidson is walking from St. Thomas to Victoria Park in London. John Davidson says this will be the last walk he makes on behalf of the cause, which has meant so much to himself and so many others. But he stresses that his advocacy will continue. His focus now is getting approvals for medications that are available in other countries, but not in Canada.
The drugs are not going to reverse Duchenne muscular dystrophy, but they will slow it down tremendously, which would change the quality of life unbelievably for these boys.
The drugs are available in the United States, the United Kingdom, and the European Union.
I'm hearing about it, I read about it, and I'm in all of the groups. A lot of them are from other countries as well. And we don't have a lot here yet.
Anna Vakarow's son Spencer was diagnosed with Duchenne muscular dystrophy last year, shortly after he turned 5. She admits knowing prior to Spencer's diagnosis that the stumbles and falls were signs of something more serious. She trusted her instincts and pressed for a clear diagnosis. Now she's trusting her instincts again.
Just as I felt it in my gut, like there was something wrong with him, I feel like there's something better coming soon.
St. Thomas Mayor Joe Preston, a former MP, says he will join Davidson's lobbying effort.
Canada needs to be in first place, never not. And John recognizes that, and in his heart, with Jesse in his mind, he makes sure that happens.
And it's time for us to go to work on this and find a way to get those here to make a difference in the lives of all those boys, some of whom are here this morning, who are just like Jesse was at that age.
Jesse's Journey now operates as Defeat Duchenne Canada and has contributed more than $19 million to research. In St. Thomas, Jerry Dewan, CTV News.
And we have an update to this story, actually, with potential impact for families across Canada. For more on that, joined on the desk by Rita Ismail. So, Rita, what's the latest?
Well, Carlyle, major milestone in the fight against Duchenne muscular dystrophy. In October, Health Canada approved a new drug called Agamree, making it the first and only therapy authorized here in Canada.
This is a drug that was developed with Duchenne muscular dystrophy in mind, even though it shares a lot of similarities with traditional steroids. And the hope, and what we've seen in the evidence from vamorolone, is that we can get the same effect on the motor improvements, on how it helps the strength of boys with Duchenne muscular dystrophy, but it reduces some of those really problematic side effects.
Now, the new drug, although not a cure, may slow the progression of DMD, a disease that affects 1 in 5,000 boys, though it costs to Canadian patients remains unclear. For John Davidson, though, the drug's approval is another powerful chapter in a story of advocacy, determination, and hope.
This is what we wanted all along, you know, when we set out to try to make a difference in the lives of all those boys with Duchenne. And I think Jesse would be pretty proud of what's happened today.
Now, Rita, a big part of this broadcast tonight is talking to our reporters about the stories that meant the most to them, their favorites from this year. So what stood out to you in 2025?
There were so many incredible stories that we covered, Carlyle, but if I had to pick one, it was one I did over at LHSC, interviewing a doctor. I didn't know it at the time, but it was the same doctor that had actually performed life-saving brain surgery on my husband's grandfather 20 years ago. Yeah. I know, right? And it was a full circle moment when I was watching the newscast later on that night, and my mother-in-law got all emotional and said, that's the same doctor that saved my dad's life. So it was really incredible, and just, again, a full circle moment. Here's the story on a rare epilepsy treatment at London Health Sciences Centre.
It's cool because I can actually kind of feel that little nub on the back of my head.
Christine Cowson reviews medical scans with her surgeon that show a device in her skull. The 26-year-old is the first epilepsy patient to have a rare procedure at London Health Sciences Centre, where a responsive neurostimulation device was surgically implanted into her skull to treat her seizures.
I have cluster seizures, so it'd be about 3 days of seizures, and I could have about a dozen seizures a day.
She says she didn't respond well to medication, and doctors determined the part of her brain that was causing the seizures could not be removed. That made her a good candidate for RNS.
Responsive neurostimulation is a system where the electrode is implanted in the brain and it measures seizure activity, and then if the little computer inside the device detects that a seizure is happening, it can deliver an impulse to the brain, very much like a heart pacemaker would work.
Since her treatment last July, Cowson says her life has dramatically changed.
I was a totally different human again. I don't even recognize myself now. I'm trying to find new ways of life and try to relearn how to live.
Dr. Stevens says the device is only approved in the United States, and Christine is one of a handful of people to have this procedure done in Canada. He says his team advocated for this treatment and applied through Health Canada's Special Access Program, and adds that not everyone is a candidate.
Some patients have a great result like Christine. There's other patients where it doesn't work so well, and it's hard to predict ahead of time who that will be. One of the other benefits is that sometimes patients like Christine, we actually discover that the seizures are actually coming all from one side.
Dr. Stevens says the next step is to hopefully get the procedure approved in Canada. Rita Ismail, CTV News.
Grocery stores joined forces this year collaborating on food waste. And Daryl Newcomb has more on the One More Bite program supporting the London Food Bank.
40% off, the end of day best before we'll pull off and we'll freeze for the food bank.
Walking the aisles of the food basics he manages, Chris Coombs has a keen eye for best before dates. If a steep discount still doesn't see the food sold by its best before, it doesn't go to waste.
End of day on 31st, we pull this, freeze it to donate to the food bank. The One More Bite program actually, it makes me proud to be part of. We have a lot of people in the community that we know are struggling right now.
9 Metro and Food Basics stores in London participate in the One More Bite food recovery program. On the night that a best before date is reached, unsold meat, dairy, bakery products, and prepared meals are loaded onto skids and frozen, awaiting collection by the London Food Bank.
It feels good to be able to give back, prevent it from going to waste. We focus mainly on healthy, nutritious products, make sure we get them to the right people and give back to the community.
Province-wide last year, One More Bite saw 2.6 million kilograms of food, equal to about 5.2 million meals recovered for food banks.
I'm extremely proud of my staff. We're one of the highest contributing stores for Food Basics. My team's very engaged in it.
247 Metro and Food Basics stores participate in the One More Bite program across Ontario. Daryl Newcomb, CTV News.
Food bank usage reached record levels this year, with more than 1 million people relying on emergency food services in Ontario. And this marks the 9th consecutive year of increased usage as the cost of living crisis amplifies. Glenn Pearson and Jane Roy are with me now from the London Food Bank for more on this. I want to start with just maybe a reflection on 2025, which I'm sure has maybe been building over the last couple of years, as we've just heard about the issues that we're facing. When you look back on this year, what stands out to you as the major issues?
Well, I think, you know, in terms of, if you look at the numbers, October was our busiest month of ever, 6,125 households, 17,000 individuals, and then just the number of agencies. So when you look at that in terms of issues, obviously the rising food insecurity, not just for individuals, but just all the groups out there serving the folks that need it as well.
Do you get a sense of changing demographics of the people that are reaching out to you that maybe is different now than it was 3, 5+ years ago?
Absolutely, and I think we're seeing more seniors, for instance, which is a concern to us, but we're seeing a lot more people that are working. Yeah. The cost of living thing is really the big story. In this past year, we helped so many different agencies, that's really true, but the people that we're seeing now are from all over the place, right, in London, and it reminds us that it's not just like it was in the old days where it was some people, really struggling. Now it seems to be hitting the vast majority of people, and that also includes their donations.
The last thing I'll just ask then is about a message to Londoners. I'm sure it's building on some of the sentiments you've just been sharing about looking ahead to 26. What do you want Londoners to keep in mind in providing for the people in our community who need a little help?
I think from my perspective, it's our 40th year, and that's a bit of a yin and yang. It's a celebration, but at the same time, it's not, that we've been around for 40 years. So I think the continued citizen involvement is incredibly important in terms of folks, helping, whether that's volunteering, whether it's still giving food, because I think that act of giving food actually helps us understand what people are going through a little bit more. And for you, Glenn?
My message is just thanks. I mean, this is a cost of living year unlike anything we've ever faced in 40 years, and yet Londoners have given enough to meet the demand. It says so much about you, and we really appreciate what you've done for us in this last year. Looking forward to working with you in the coming year.
Yeah.
Jane and Glenn, thank you for the work that you do in this community, and thanks for being with us tonight.
Thanks, Carl.
Thank you.
As the trade war ramped up this year, many Canadians took an elbows-up stance, a show of national unity. However, Sean Irvin brought us a story of a London couple who demonstrated their Canadian pride a different way.
From painted boulevards to entrance gates wrapped in the nation's colors, the patriotic efforts of husband and wife Barbara Armstrong and Albert Bernhardt are appreciated by passers-by. The pair have been decorating the front of their Westminster Drive property to mark multiple holidays since the start of the pandemic. This year, their Canada Day display is the largest ever.
I think everybody, especially this year, should be celebrating to be Canadian.
But this display is not just a story about the love for one's country. It's an actual love story that will melt your heart. The story began 25 years ago in Canada's north. Barbara was on a work contract in Inuvik, Northwest Territories. She met Albert and the two fell in love. After a decade in the north, they returned to Barbara's hometown of London. Life was good until Albert was diagnosed with dementia 3 years ago.
I'm glad she's with me.
For a time, Albert helped to put up the displays, but dementia took its grip.
Every day I lose a piece of what I had. It's awful.
That loss includes the annual effort of National Pride. This is the couple's final display.
Albert's transitioning into long-term care.
Yet before Albert moves, his dementia has given him the gift of experiencing Canada Day daily.
He sees it fresh every day, which is a beautiful thing.
I like it. I mean, I was born Canadian.
Need more joy in the world. And if it happens through celebrating our great country, then so be it.
A thoughtful message from a couple that combines love of country with a love for each other.
Give us a kiss.
Oh, nom, 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 nom.
Happy Canada Day.
Sean Irvin is on the desk with me now. A lovely story there about some Canadian pride. And as we're going through this, I'm sure plenty of stories come to mind for 2025. What you covered this year, what stood out? What else?
Well, certainly one we saw a big highlight, but we also looked to the stars this year as a local boy won a worldwide contest for a photo he captured above London. Another big moment, a famous musician who made a lasting connection with a local woman before taking to the stage for a sold-out show at Canada Life Place. It was a good news story as a big smile was brought to the face of a local advocate for those experiencing homelessness and addiction. That story in a moment, but first, we go up to the cosmos.
12-year-old Siddharth Patel has been mesmerized by the stars since he was 5. Toy figures hint at his dreams.
Yeah, I really want to be an astronaut when I grow up because I really love space and I want to be in it too, right?
Now, from the ground, Siddharth has already begun his journey. Using telescopes, he captures high-quality images of celestial delights and posts them on his social media channels.
I'm trying to get the Jupiter or Mars in the field of view of this.
But it is this picture, taken with his mother's smartphone, that has garnered Siddharth worldwide attention in astronomy and photography circles. By manipulating image settings, he caught a passing comet streaking across the galaxy.
And with just the phone, I was really amazed that I could capture the Milky Way in such great detail in the comet.
So awesome, the photo won a People's Choice Award in an online contest by Dark Sky, a group with a mission to protect the planet from light pollution. It's a goal Siddharth shares. His award-winning photo offering perhaps the best example. Siddharth captured it in a rural area 30 kilometers outside of London, only 1 hour after city light pollution kiboshed plans to see the same sky with a powerful telescope on his back deck.
So that's why I became a dark advocate, so I can tell more people about this so that they can make a change.
Siddharth's deep passion for deep space is self-driven. In fact, neither of his parents was interested in space until Siddharth's fascination blossomed.
We know that this means a lot to him, so we try to support him.
Though that support comes with hesitation amidst the realization that Siddharth at a young age already has some of the right stuff to achieve his dream of traveling into space.
I'm definitely scared, actually, as a mom.
Yeah, I really think that the astronaut goal is really going to happen.
So really, the sky's the limit for you.
Yeah.
At an encampment in London's Watson Park, a caring person answers the plea of a young man in need.
I'm not okay.
What's going on?
I need shoes. Anything.
What you are seeing play out is the compassionate response of Michelle Boisonneau of 519 Pursuit. If her face looks familiar, it's because she's spoken about her journey from addiction to recovery on CTV News. Over the past 5 years, Michelle has transitioned from living on the streets of London to helping those there today.
Do not suffer in silence. There are so many people who love you.
And those who love Michelle. You see, as it turns out, the man in the video is not homeless. He's a social media star in disguise.
I didn't need shoes.
Okay.
I was just trying to find someone who was going to be kind and help me.
What he said next brought Michelle at work on her day off to tears. The Jelly Roll fan was presented with VIP concert tickets.
You're going to the show tonight. You're going to meet him.
But what began with free concert tickets grew into a much larger surprise when Michelle arrived at the Jelly Roll concert. Well, blindfolded for the surprise, Michelle told the star her story.
Well, Jelly, I will have 3 years sober April 25th. I was a hardcore intravenous crystal meth user.
Touched, Jelly Roll, who's battled his own addictions, presented Michelle with the keys to a car.
Thank you.
On Tuesday morning, Michelle's memory of the moment remains vivid as she accepts the car at London's Oak Ridge Ford.
You know, you see these things on Facebook and TikTok, and you see them on the news, and you just don't think that could happen to you.
If you could stand in front of yourself at your darkest moment and say, this day is coming, what do you think that would mean to that person?
It would mean everything, right? Just to be able to tell myself to, like, hold on, that it's going to get better, that, you know, you're loved, and one day you're going to love yourself.
In London, Sean Irvin, CTV News.
Still ahead on our CTV London Year in Review, the year in festivals in the Forest City, the highlights from 2025, and who's coming to play London in 2026. Welcome back to our 2025 Year in Review, looking back at our standout stories this year. Nick Paparella is with me on the desk now. Of course, as we saw in part one, a big part of what you do for us is, of course, at the courthouse, but you're also one of the most recognizable faces from this station in the community, public events, festivals. What stood out for you, Nick, this year? Everything you would have been a part of this year.
Well, Carlyle, it's always fun to be out and about in our community, especially in the summer and fall season. Summer kicks off with Sunfest at Victoria Park. Over 200,000 people jam in for world music, and it's always a fun event. That's followed up by Rock the Park at Harris Park, put on by the Jones Entertainment Group, and that's always a lot of fun.
I was there for Hosier this year. It was Excellent.
Fantastic. And then, of course, the tastiest weekend of the summer is during Civic holiday weekend, and that's Rib Fest with 10 fantastic ribbers, and that's been going on for over 30 years in our community. That's followed up in the fall, early fall, with Western Fair, and then the new kid on the block, Rock the Runway, out at the London Airport. In its first year, it's been successful. And then, of course, in the fall, in October, we have a lot of different Oktoberfest events in our community. Always a lot of fun to be out and about.
And you'll be seeing this face at all those events in 2026
You got
as
it.
well. Thanks, Nick. I'm joined now by Jeff Kelly from Virgin Radio, Leanne Whitehouse from Pure Country to talk more about the festival season that's coming up next year. I know I was at Hosier, as I mentioned to Nick. That was a fantastic concert. What are some of the highlights to expect for 26?
Even more of what we've had in the past. Fantastic nights. On the Thursday, July 16th, we've got the big country night planned. We have Jordan Davis as the headliner, who puts on a phenomenal show. Tucker Wetmore, who is like the next Morgan Wallen, at least if you ask me. Braxton Keith and Mackenzie Carpenter, who is actually opening up for Riley Green all year next year. So we're really lucky to have them coming to London for one night.
And then on the Wednesday night, where we do have two planned Virgin nights, that second one will be announced into the new year. But we have Dylan Gossett, 23 years old, 400 million streams. Like, this kid is already on the rise, and the fact that he's already on that bill is pretty promising. Lumineers to open or be the headliner is something magical. I mean, global act, Bonnaroo, Glastonbury, and we get them here in southwestern Ontario. That's special.
Now, you guys are both obviously heavily involved in everything that's going on with the radio crews that you work with, and I imagine that comes with some stories. What were some highlights for you guys being involved in what you saw from this past year?
Well, it was really neat to see the Red Clay Strays last year, and then just a few months ago, they won for Vocal Group of the Year at the CMA Awards, the big country music award show in Nashville. And like, we got to see them. We were, just feet away from them. That's so cool. But at Rock the Runway this year, during the Noah Khan set, there was actually a proposal. Somebody got down on one. They said yes. It was fabulous.
An important part, yeah.
But really, really sweet to see that unfold in real life.
Yeah, and then Miles Smith, who opened for Noah Khan, pretty neat. He's on stage, talked about his own anxiety, so I mean, that's nice to kind of let the guard down in front of that crowd, but then also acknowledge that 3 years to the day, he had quit his job going, I think music is my path, here's where I'm going, and he said, and here I am, fast forward a handful of years in front of 25,000 people.
Now, you brought up Rock the Runway, a new experiment, I would say, in terms of a festival in this city, and it wasn't without its own hiccups. I know you guys were, I guess, keeping up with some of the issues, and especially when it came to parking and getting out of the venue. But it sounds like they are going to be taking that into consideration for the 26th edition.
Yeah, they refunded everybody last year, which was fabulous. They made good on it, and hopefully they'll have some more public transportation or just more avenues for people to get in there next year.
Yeah, it's just a matter of juggling those logistics. Way in was okay. It was actually, there was one accident leading to, so it's a matter of just opening up the tap, so to speak, to get people in a little more efficient manner. But we're excited. They've got some big plans, and so do we.
Yeah, Jeff and Leanne, thanks very much for being with us. We're looking forward to a great year of 26 concerts.
Thank you.
Now, the changes for next year's Rock the Runway were prompted in large part thanks to social media reaction. Platforms like TikTok and Instagram becoming more and more involved in our day-to-day storytelling. And with that in mind, I'm joined by Lauren Stallone. And Lauren, starting in the new year, we're introducing a new segment on our 6 p.m. newscast.
That's right, Carlyle. We have a new segment coming, and we saw so many trends this year, like 6'7", elbows up. And I think the truth is not a lot of people really know what these trends mean. So what this new segment will allow us to do is really dive deeper, speak with creators, get an understanding of why these trends are so popular and going viral. And speaking of popular trends, we saw fruit-shaped mousse cakes take over TikTok. So I spoke with Delight Dessert and Coffee Bar. Now they've brought these trends to London and they are just skyrocketing online. So I spoke with them to get an understanding of what goes into making these cakes and why they wanted to hop on the trend.
How we came up with this idea, so we do travel with my husband a lot, and recently we went to LA, to California, and we visited one of the shops, and then I realized that it's like super popular nowadays in US and Canada, and okay, let's make it, let's bring it to London as well. It's pretty long process because like each layer need to be done, right, and as well you need a special molds to do them. So yeah, it's a bit complicated.
All right, now Julie Atchison is on the desk with us now because we've got these in front of us, Lauren. Tell us about this trend, because these are not actual fruits. I mean, this is a pretty big raspberry for it to be
It does look like a real
authentic,
lemon, though, and that looks like a real
It does, and a giant coffee bean.
The texture is incredible.
For sure, and I think that's the huge part of the trend is the look and the appeal of it all, but also ASMR, which we hear the cracking, the chewing, the eating, which I personally don't enjoy listening to someone eat.
And just the whole trend of ASMR is a little off-putting for me, too.
Right,
There's something about it where it's either very appealing to you, where you get it.
I get it. I love to see them like crack through a fruit.
Yeah.
Like I'll watch videos on that all day long.
Right.
Like I love that. I think I just find it fascinating. It's a bit weird.
The algorithm knows too.
I
It's
know.
feeding you.
It can be really satisfying, I guess, and relaxing as well to watch that kind of stuff. But why don't we try them out? We can each pick one, and a big part of it is cracking. The outside is chocolate, and we'll get that crunch, Julie, that you'll love. Okay, perfect.
What did you call these again? The name of them?
Fruit-shaped mousse cakes.
Mousse cakes. So mousse cakes is what I heard, and this was not what I was expecting. I don't think I was spelling this correctly. I'm going to try the orange one.
Okay. Are we gonna?
Yeah. What do you want?
I think I'll go the mango.
Okay.
All right. Do we want to crack them at the same time?
Do you whack them?
Yeah. So that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to crack it, get that hard chocolate off, and then the mousse will come out.
3, 2, 1.
Oh.
See, very satisfying.
Oh, see, that's so satisfying to me. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
And you can see the mousse, the custard on the inside.
Can I eat this?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, ready?
Diving in.
Cheers.
Okay.
It's good. Tastes exactly like a mango. What about yours?
There's an orange zest to mine, for sure.
Oh, wow. I really, really like that. So I'm not like a sweets person. If you know that about me, I don't know if you guys do. But this has like, it's not like an overpowerful sweet taste.
Right.
It's so mild.
Hint of the flavor that it's with. It's not overpowering.
And it's creamy and good.
It's fun to eat. I'm the same way. I don't like anything too sweet, and it just feels very citrusy and light. And like I said, it's fun.
I love this.
I assume we're not going to be eating mousse cakes every time we do this segment, though, Lauren. Unfortunately. But,
can we eat more, though?
Yeah.
Can you bring
Yeah, let's try them all.
A lot of you chefs keep doing cool stuff like this. We'll bring your stuff on the news. All right, Lauren, thank you very much. When we come back, we're going to have more with Julie Atchison, looking back at the year in weather for 2025. Welcome back to part 2 of our CTV London Year in Review. Still with meteorologist Julie Atchison, and a chance to talk about our major weather stories from 2025. And I know there's already been a pretty wintry start to winter 2026. We had a ton of snow in December. Is it going to be similar to what we saw last winter?
Yeah, in terms of a traditional Canadian winter, that's what we're experiencing. We saw winter weather arrive even before the winter solstice. So heavy amounts of snowfall across our area and lake effect snow squalls. Now, typically a La Nina pattern that we're seeing develop brings more of a wintry mix. But because we have this cold polar air that has moved over the Great Lakes, a little chunk of that polar vortex, it is resulting in some heavy amounts of snowfall. So as we head through the next couple of months, we are expecting more of a wintry mix as temperatures fluctuate a bit on the warmer side. Now, not into the deep freeze, but traditionally winter in southern Ontario, we often see these cold blasts of air followed by a brief warm up. I am expecting that as we head through the latter half. Now, there are no clear signal, Carlyle, in terms of what we'll expect for the back half of winter. That could go either way. So if we see a blocking pattern set up and that cool air continues over the Great Lakes, it of course will lead to lake effect snow. But in terms of the next little while, definitely more of a traditional Canadian winter.
So that's looking ahead to the winter we might be expecting, but we went through a winter last year with a lot of snow. In fact, there was some destructive snow in parts of our region.
Yeah, absolutely. The heavy winter snow caused roof collapses across Midwestern Ontario. Now, this horse barn that you're looking at in Wingham, it collapsed in early March, but reports suggest from Owen Sound to Exeter, at least 20 barn roofs came crashing down due to the excessive snowfall. Now, while most ended in no injuries, a young farm worker was injured after the roof of a dairy barn near Listowel imploded on February 25th. It wasn't just the barn or shed, roofs buckling under the weight of the record-setting snowfall. And part of the roof of McDonald's Home Hardware in Brussels came crashing down on February 23rd. Luckily, no one was injured. Now, a cubic foot of heavy, wet snow can weigh as much as 30 pounds.
That
3 pounds.
sounds about right for when you've got the wet stuff and you've got the shovel out there. Now, Julie, one highway in our region was actually closed for 8 days this past winter because of the weather.
Yeah, gigantic snowbanks on Highway 21 between Port Elgin and Grand Bend. I actually saw these snowbanks. I've never seen anything like it.
Huge.
Yeah, and
Surreal.
people were spray painting on them.
The graffiti, they got tagged.
It was really unbelievable, over 12 feet tall in spots. And that might explain why it took 8 days and hundreds of hours of snowplows, snow blowers, and payloaders and dump trucks moving that snow to get the Shoreline Highway fully reopened.
And a stretch of highway in Bruce County became a tourist attraction this year.
Yeah, we were just mentioning that 12-foot high snowdrift along Bruce Road near Paisley. It's been 11 years since there's been enough snow to create this now famous wall of snow. And the last time was during the 2014 Winter Olympics when locals turned the huge drift of snow into a pro-Canadian billboard. Fast forward to this winter and Paisley's snow billboard is once again being used for Canadiana with the words Canada's Wall and Tariff this spray painted into the wall of snow.
Those are the major winter weather stories, Julie. And when it comes to summer stories, it's usually the big thunderstorms and the potential for tornadoes. But this past summer didn't really produce the damaging ones that we had seen in some recent years.
Yeah, just a handful of tornadoes touching down in southern Ontario. I mean, if it's near your home, of course, it can be extremely scary.
Yep.
They were all EF0s, one in May in Woodstock, June in Lucan, and there was a cluster in July near Goderich and Blythe. But I have to say, in terms of tracking weather, over the summer, I really found it was a quiet weather season for me. Normally, I'm like severe thunderstorm warnings and watches and cold fronts coming in, and we just didn't have that this summer. And I know you and I had talked about that a couple of times. We had a lot of blocking patterns develop where we saw days of extended sunshine and not the volatility that we typically see in this area in the summer. So for me as a forecaster, it was quiet. I do want to mention, if you go and look at the Northern Tornadoes Project, they track all of the tornadoes in Ontario, and those numbers are high, but they're now using AI-assisted tools, so they're able to track tornadoes in areas that are remote, where people wouldn't normally have seen or been able to report tornadoes or damage.
So we're going to be seeing those more often in terms of just because we're tracking them better.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Julie, you're also someone who spends a lot of time hosting and taking part in public events all over our community. So what were some of the ones that stand out for you this year?
Always the Ronald McDonald House Charities of Southwestern Ontario. When we illuminate the house this year, they called it Illuminate the Region because they serve so many families. That one's always so special to me. You see so many kids out. You see the kids at the hospital watching us light it up, and it's such a magical moment. And that home is one of those places that is really close to my heart. I've prepared dinner there before, served dinner there. It is a wonderful spot. So if you haven't had a chance to check it out, make sure you do, and if you can, support it. Business Cares Food Drive, you volunteered this year.
Yep, out in the cold for a couple hours, but
You're hardy. You're hardy. You're from Northern Ontario.
I got the parka with me from my reporting days out in Edmonton that came with me here. It was very useful that day.
Yeah, it was a cold one for sure, of collecting food, of course.
But lots of support.
Yes.
People were coming out.
Yes, and that's the thing. You know, it's a tough time of year for people, and the generosity that you see changes you. And that's one of the best parts about doing the Business Cares Food Drive, is because all of these people come out, and there's people that don't have any money, and they can barely afford to feed their family, except they want to feed someone else. And if they have an extra loonie or toonie, and every single can, every single dollar counts to the London Food Bank. And the support this year was just tremendous, and so grateful to the community who came out and everyone who donates, and even the people that just came by to say hi and smile. That's just as good.
The vibes were good.
The vibes are so good, so good. The other one that really stands out for me is my sister's place. They have resting beds, and they were lacking funding for their resting spaces at the home. And we did a live on location, and this is how impactful it was. Somebody saw the live on location, and our friend Rita Ismail was there the next night hosting an event, and a family came down and donated over $80,000 to those resting spaces. Incredible. And they saw it right here on our station, and they didn't realize that my sister's place was helping all of these women have a safe spot to stay at night. So that just shows you just the impact of that. It's like, gives me chills. It's pretty awesome.
All right, Julie, thanks very much. Looking forward to what you're going to be doing in 2026.
Me too. Thanks, Carlyle.
Coming up on our CTV London Year in Review, the top sports stories from 2025, headlined by a Memorial Cup championship for the London Knights. Welcome back to our 2025 year in review. Brent Lales on the desk with me now. And Brent, this year actually you became more of a sports reporter. It's been a while since you had that dedicated sports beat. And what a year to do it, because it was pretty easy to pick a top sports story this year.
Yeah, the London Knights Memorial Cup champions, Carlyle. That was amazing.
Pretty big deal, too.
Yeah, for sure. And it was for a core group of superstars. It was a fairy tale ending. A dominating 4-1 win over Medicine Hat gave London its third Memorial Cup crown in the past 20 years. Dale Hunter tied WHL legend Don Hay for the most Memorial Cup championships as a head coach since the tournament began back in 1972. A team loaded with 13 NHL draft picks dominated the competition. And how about Easton Cowan, who's now gone on to the Toronto Maple Leafs? He was named Memorial Cup MVP.
And his skills showing with the Maple Leafs now this year for sure. A major milestone for the man behind the bench as well. Dale Hunter surpassed 1,000 regular season wins in the OHL.
Yeah, only Brian Kilray has more with 1,194. And we all know that Dale will easily pass that if he desires to keep coaching. Then another honor late in the year when he and his brother Mark were chosen to run Team Canada at the World Juniors.
That is ongoing right now. Back in February, Londoners had their eyes on the Super Bowl, cheering on one of their own.
Yeah, the Philadelphia Eagles and Londoner Sidney Brown, a defensive back, went on to beat the Kansas City Chiefs to win the Vince Lombardi Trophy. Then how about in November, another great accomplishment. Zach Fry of London was a member of the Saskatchewan Roughriders who won the Grey Cup.
And I think he had a pretty good time on the Green Mile.
Yeah, for sure. That parade was amazing.
It was a long time coming for that organization.
For sure.
Yeah. Also on the football field, an underdog story for a university quarterback who calls London home.
Yeah, Taylor Elgersma went from the Canadian University football ranks to playing 3 NFL preseason games with the Green Bay Packers, and even threw a touchdown pass in one exhibition game before eventually being released. Since then, he's had some workouts with NFL teams, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers hold his CFL rights.
How about the year in high school sports as well? Plenty of OFSA hardware in 2025.
Yeah, let's start with a historic season on the gridiron. The CCH Crusaders football team won the OFSA Western Bowl 25-0 to cap off a perfect 10-0 year. They were ranked #1 in Ontario, and Canada Football Chat considered them the best high school team in Canada. And there were dominant team performances by Oak Ridge Volleyball, STA Girls Soccer, Medway Field Hockey, and Banting Track. 7 others won individual gold medals, including track stars Jackson McKay, who won 3, and Jenna Tunks with a pair.
Now, Brent, it's been called one of the most entertaining World Series of all time, but unfortunately for Blue Jays fans, they came just short of winning it all this year.
Yeah, I can still feel the heartbreak right now. It was the most exciting time for Jays fans, though, since the 2015 season, and they had their first real shot at a title since way back in 1993. Leading in Game 7 of the World Series against the Dodgers, they just couldn't hold on against baseball's juggernaut, losing in heartbreaking fashion in extra innings. That success, though, has led to Toronto becoming a real destination for players.
Well, looking ahead to 2026 now, Brent, we've got the Winter Olympics coming up in February.
Yeah, and we'll be keeping a close eye on a few local athletes. Sarah Wilkes will be part of Canada's curling squad after winning the trials as part of Team Homan. Mark Idison has been chosen to compete in Paralympic curling.
Brent, one of hockey's best characters made headlines this year, a real feel-good story, called to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, Joe Thornton, the St. Thomas native, stole the show at the induction ceremony, and just prior to that, he had a special homecoming.
Thank you for everyone.
Everyone knew there would be tears. Joe Thornton's homecoming Hall of Fame week wrapped up with him telling stories, giving a few laughs, and getting emotional.
That dream was made on Crescent Ave in a 1,200 square foot house that my mom and dad built, and they still live today. Win and Mary, my parents, you were the beginning, the middle, and the end of my story.
Joe's week also featured a stop in his hometown as a St. Thomas Stars guest of honor.
You know, the Joe Thornton Community Center, and I'm dropping the puck, and it's just so nice to be back. And I see so many faces that I've known for so many years, and like yourself, it's just good to be back.
With players wearing retro jerseys from the 2 seasons Joe played 30 years ago, he got them fired up by reading the lineup.
On lefty, we got Moody.
From there, it was onto the ice where more tears were shed.
This is, where it all started. I left here at 16 years old and really never came back. But this is where home is. Thank you.
After inspiring his former Junior B club to a 7-3 win over London, it was off to Toronto for induction day.
Bring on the bagpipes. It's time to party. Thank you, everyone. I love you.
Brent Lale, CTV News.
When we come back on our CTV News Year in Review, big changes for business in 2025, the end of an era for Hudson's Bay, and the rest of the top economic stories. Welcome back to our 2025 Year in Review. London's 2 Hudson's Bay locations were among the stores shuttered this year as the iconic Canadian brand closed for good. The process put about 8,000 employees out of work across the country as the 350-year-old company navigated bankruptcy procedures. The province's Workplace Safety Insurance Board officially moved into its new permanent headquarters, relocating from downtown Toronto. The new digs are inside the former 3M building in East London. Officials say it's part of a larger move to decentralize Ontario's crown corporations, and it's expected to save the organization about $70 million a year while closing London's downtown WSIB office. The new Hard Rock Hotel opened at Kellogg Lane in April. It's the first of its kind in Canada after years of development and construction. There are 164 rooms, music memorabilia all over the facility, which includes a fitness center and an indoor-outdoor swimming pool. The new London Children's Museum also opened in January at its new location. The new 36,000 square foot space at Kellogg Lane doubles the previous exhibit space at the old location and is more accessible. Some sad news this year for London's broadcasting community, losing a pair of local icons. Bill Brady was considered a pioneer of the call-in radio show in Canada, getting his start here in London in the 1950s. He also hosted the game show Act Fast on what was then CFPL TV. In 1996, he was inducted into the Canadian Association of Broadcasters Hall of Fame. Brady died in November. He was 93 years old. And Ross Daly was an agriculture and business reporter at CFPL TV in the 80s and 90s. He was known for his This Business of Farming show and presenting the markets on our former noon hour newscast. Ross was 78 years old. Welcome back to our CTV London Year in Review. When it comes to healthcare, one of the biggest ongoing stories has been the lack of access to family doctors. Well, last winter, when the opportunity presented itself, hundreds of people waited outside in the cold in Walkerton when a new doctor opened up shop. With more on that, here's Scott Miller.
They started arriving before the sun was even up for a shot at securing a family doctor.
Got here about 5:30 and been on the Healthcare Connect list for about 10 years now. Haven't had a doctor for longer than that, so kind of a strange way to have people sign up for a doctor, but hopefully I get one.
Hundreds of people from as far away as Owen Sound brave snow squalls and frigid temperatures for the opportunity to become a patient of Walkerton's newest doctor. The Brockton and Area Family Health team who organized today's sign-up say the first 500 people in line will be accepted as his patients. The next 500 will be put on a waiting list for another family physician expected to start their practice later this year.
I've been with, Health Connects for 6 years looking for a family doctor. And this is the first thing that they've actually found, sort of thing. So to come and stand in line. So that's the way that administrative system works.
It kind of eliminates the people that might need it most, people with some disabilities, single parents, people that have to go to work. There could have been some other ways to do it, but I'm here, hopeful for a doctor.
Even members of Brockton's physician recruitment committee called today's sign-up lineup an imperfect process. But it's the process that was chosen to try and remove a few people from the list of 2.3 million Ontarians without a family physician. It's very safe to say that no one wants to be in this lineup today waiting for a family doctor in Walkerton. But almost everyone I spoke to say they have been on Health Connect's waiting list for years. Some people more than 10 years and no luck in getting a family doctor. So they're here today because they're desperate.
Been in the area 8 years, moved here from Alberta and haven't had one since I got here. So
we've been without a doctor for a while, and we got a big family, so we need to get some help.
You do what you have to do to get ahead in life, and this is what I got to do.
Now, for those that were successful in securing their spot on the new doctor's list, waking up in the middle of the night and waiting in the cold was well worth it.
I'm glad I came as early as I did. I was anticipating, but to see the lineup is kind of sort of even shocking.
But for those that didn't make it or gave up when they saw the line wrapping around the block, it was a frustrating morning.
I mean, it's insane. This is just not what the medical healthcare system is supposed to be like in Ontario. I'm absolutely disgusted by our medical system having people do this.
And Scott Miller's with me now for another interesting story you covered in the summer, a fishing expedition that was a little unexpected because of what was on the end of the line.
Yeah, absolutely. A huge fish. And now there's lots of fish stories, but yeah, this was very interesting. There's a gentleman I know up in Bruce County, an avid fisherman, who sent me a picture of a gigantic Asian carp. And he found out it was one of the largest Asian carps ever caught in Lake Huron. And, well, that's great, but that really means a lot because they're an invasive species. So it made for a very interesting story and some amazing visuals.
Right here. Yep, I've got a waypoint on this rock.
Richard Elliott thought he'd seen it all in his nearly 5 decades of fishing. But last week, he caught a fish he'd never, ever seen before.
I'm 65 now, and I've never seen a grass carp, and I was hoping I never would see them. We don't want them in Ontario.
Only 33 of these invasive species have ever been caught on the Canadian side of the Great Lakes since 2012, and only a handful of those were caught in Lake Huron. This may also have been the largest grass carp ever caught in the Canadian Great Lakes, Elliott believes. At more than 48 inches long and 30 inches around its belly, this behemoth weighed more than 58 pounds.
To see one that big was kind of awesome.
Elliott immediately alerted the Department of Fisheries and Oceans, who sent a crew down that day. They took samples and planned to return to the area next month to study the area off the shores of the Bruce Power nuclear plant where Elliott found the grass carp, belly up, but still alive.
I was with a buddy's wife fishing and I was pretty excited about it, saying like, wow, this is crazy. And she just kind of, yeah, whatever. But then when the crew got here and saw the excitement there, she goes like, man, this is a big deal. And I thought, yeah, I think it's a big deal.
Well, it is an amazing catch. It's not one Elliott wanted to make. That's because the grass carp is an invasive species. It's invaded some U.S. waterways, causing environmental disaster. So it's not a fish fishermen want to catch in the Great Lakes.
It's just not a good thing to have. And they do really outcompete our native species because they're not supposed to be here. There's no predators for them. They just grow like crazy.
Elliott says while he's now got an amazing story to tell about the time he caught one of the biggest, if not the biggest, grass carp ever caught in the Great Lakes, he's been told by the Department of Fisheries and Oceans that he may just find another one soon enough.
There is a camera out here that they've had out different times, and they actually have a video of two of them. So there's at least one more here. So, yeah. And I hear that they're possibly coming up in August to do more studies in the water.
In Bruce County, Scott Miller, CTV News.
And that's it for our special CTV News Year in Review. We hope you're having a safe and happy holiday. And thanks so much for watching this year. For all of us at CTV News London, I'm Carlyle Fiset. Have a good night and Happy New Year.